Guys, so today we are going to be learning how to draft multiple patterns, right, and alter multiple patterns for both male and female shoes. So this is the pattern I'm going to be using to start. This is a size 39 and it's apparently about a 10. It should be about a 10. Now from our regular chart, which I'm going to include, this is like roughly a 10.2 thereabout. Now from our chart, you can see that the measurement for the length of a size 39 is supposed to be 0.75 for a 39. Then a 39 and a half, which is in between 39 and 40, is about 9.87. So if that is the length based off the charts that we have, right, we also have to add extra. Now I have a law of usually adding about 0.3, not more than, not less than. Usually sometimes I break it, but 0.3 is like the safe landing for me. So for instance, this size 39, now that I don't know if the person is a big 39 or a small 39, what I would actually do is I would add a 0.3. So if I'm doing maybe 39 and a half, right, that's 9.87, I would add 0.3 to that. So if I add, that would be like maybe 10.2, which was what I saw for this size 39 design that we're currently using, right, as the base mark. Now if you don't have usually you're not even supposed to have a pattern when we're starting this, but you have shoes, so you choose a particular shoe you like, right, and make sure that shoe that you like, the shape is very nice. That's how I got my own pattern to start with. You can see it's a female pattern, this one we're using, and it's very curvy, it's very cute. It gives my handmade shoes the feel like it's factory fit or something, right? But this is actually how I got this pattern. So you can look for any of your slippers that you like the shape of and then draw it. So I'm going to be teaching you in this class how to actually alter the design. So this is a 39 and we're going to make like 3 different sizes, big and small, from this particular 39 that we have, right? So let's get into it. We're working with 2 dimensions of the foot, the length and the width. The length is the distance from your big toe to your heel, and the width is the distance from the side of your foot, the widest side of your foot, right? As you can see in the picture. So now for every shoe or every floor we're going to design, we're going to be making use of the length and the width. So I'm going to first be drafting a size 40, which is a size bigger than what we currently have. And as you can see, I'm taking measurement of the width. The width is about 3.7. Now, averagely, the width of our size 40, 39, 38, some 41s, slim 41s, is about 3.5 inches wide. So our width here is 3.7 because there's allowance. The wideness of the shoe cannot be the same length as the wideness, cannot be the same measurement as the wideness of your foot. If not, there will not be extra space to keep your legs. So we're going to draft 3.7. Then for the length, size 40 is usually 10 inches approximately, and a big 40, which is in between 40 and 41, is 10.2 inches in length. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add my 0.3. So what I'm going to do for the size 40 is, if the person's length is 10.2, I can't make 10.2 because it will be too small. I have to give allowance, right? And we're making 40 and a half. We're making a big 40 now because you don't know the person's shoe size. So what I usually advise is, if you don't know the person's shoe size, make the intermediate size, right? Make the size that transitions between 40, 41. Or if you don't know if the person wears 40 proper, you can make 39, 40. Do you get? So for this 40, I'm making the big 40. That's what we're actually doing. Now, I'm going to take the length of the foot, which is going to be the length of the pattern that I'm drawing actually, which is going to be 10.2 plus 0.3, which is 10 and a half, right? That will be the full length of the size 40 shoe. Now once I take down that length, I'll mark it, and then I'm going to use my pattern to draw it. Now this particular pattern we use, remember, it was 10.2 for the 39. For the size 40 now, it's going to be 10.5, right? And I'm just going to trace it and make sure that that length is actually followed like you're seeing in the video. Thing to notice is when I drew it, can you notice that I drew from the outer side first before drawing the inner side, and then I didn't draw it completely. I pulled it down, like I pushed the pattern down, simply because it is not the same length. This is 10.2 and I'm drawing 10.5. What I'm drawing is longer, so I'm going to take it down to the bottom and then try and make sure that the lines align, like they meet up exactly, so that the disparity in the curves will not be too much, right? So that's what I just did. So you draw from the outermost part first, the outside, then you also draw the inside, draw halfway, then you take the pattern, like, you know, the way you have a curve or a T-square or something, take it down and then join it from down up. So you would have a nice shape and you would still get the length, the new length that you need for the new pattern. Hello, so we're done drafting and we have a size 40. The next size we're going to go ahead and draft is a size 41. Now for a size 41, the big 41 leg size, right, is 10.5 inches, while a normal 41 is 10.37. So we're going to take the intermediate, which is the big 41, in between 41 and 42, and I'm going to add my 0.3. That's going to give me what? 10.8 inches. Now, because I have increased the length, you also have to know that if size 41 is going to be a bit wider than a size 40, why? Because the legs are generally bigger. Do you get? So instead of making the width of this particular pattern 3.7, we're going to make it a 4. Right, we're going to make it a 4 simply because the shoe size is actually bigger. So we're going to make that 4 to be able to accommodate the wideness of the leg. If not, it may enter, but then the person's toes may be outside of the shoe when it comes to the width. So you see, I'm starting to draw from the side. I have drawn the first part, right? I've divided it into 4. I've drawn the first side for the pattern. Then I'm going to bring it down and I'm going to mark my 4 inches from there, because I need to know where the 4 inches is starting from. Now, after marking the 4 inches, I'm going to use my pattern, kind of like a French curve, to just blend everything together. So now from the top, I'm going to make sure that that aligns, right? Then I'm going to pull it down and make sure that I'm starting from the bottom. Like, I'm going to draw the lines down. By the time I'm done drawing the lines down, I'll now pull it down and make sure that I'm starting from the bottom to make sure that everything just aligns perfectly. And you can see that it's a bit bigger than the actual pattern that I'm holding, so you can see some excess spaces. I'm just trying to join everything together to still maintain the shape that it originally had. So once we finish aligning, you see that we paid cognizance to the fact that the length is bigger than the size 40, and also the person's leg would most likely be wider. Now, since this person's leg would most likely be wider, you can see I'm adding like an extra allowance to just make this pattern generally a bit bigger than the size 40. So that curve that is usually in the middle, right, I have increased it a bit because this is now a size 41. So for a size 42, the length is usually 10.7 inches, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my 0.3 mark, which is going to give me what? 11 inches, right? So I'm going to mark 11 inches from the top and then mark where it ends at the bottom. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take up my my pattern for 39, like a French curve, and I'm going to draw out the first quarter of the shoe, or the first side, right? And once I do that, I'm going to mark how wide I want it to be. The width is also going to be a 4 inches because this is actually a big size, so it's going to be 4 inches as well. Now I'm going to also take my pattern, and then from the top I'm also going to join it to where I marked the size, the 4 inches rather, and I'm going to connect them. Once I do that, I would have drafted my top, and I'm going to try and pull it down a little and see how I'm going to just keep drawing it until it kind of fits. Now I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to draw the base of the shoe, which is where the heel of the person would be. Then I'm going to shift it a bit, because this is actually supposed to be wider. Like, it's supposed to be a significant difference in what we did with the first one. And I'm just going to keep using my stuff like a French curve. Like, at this point, I'm using my hand to just draw, right? But you're just supposed to connect it generally. That's what we're saying. And we're actually drafting our size 42. Now, this has to be bigger than the first one, and it's not going to be as curvy as the first one because their legs are wider. Because if we draw that curve, you're going to have to file that curve, and then you make the base a bit slimmer. So keep in mind, the higher you draft the size, the wider the pattern is supposed to actually be, so that it can accommodate the width and the fullness of their legs, so their legs will not be hanging outside, right? So even the sides, you see, I'm still making adjustments to it to just make sure that it is wide enough to be able to accommodate this size 42 leg, right? But this is basically what the pattern looks like. So we're done. We've drawn our size 40, 41 and a 42. I'm just going to give you guys the dimensioning for each of them so you can see it in a nutshell. So this is 4 inches wide for our size 42, and then the length is 11 inches including the allowance, right? Including the allowance. Always don't ever forget 0.3 is the safe mark, right? 0.3. So with this technique, you actually won't have a lot of issues like, oh, it's not my size in terms of this shoe is too small, right? If anything, it would just either be just right, or the excess in what you've done will not be so preposterous. And then remember, this is just a rough sketch. You're still going to file your shoe. So try this for the male designs as well. I suggest you look for a palm or a slipper or something one of them that you really like the design for. I particularly love this shape, and that's why I'm using it. This is a size 44, but we're also going to use it to work on other shoe sizes. We're actually going to tone it up and then tone it down. So we're going to draw bigger sizes and smaller sizes with this particular design. We are going to be drafting a size 42, and our size 42 is the big size 42 is actually 10.4. So 10.4 plus our allowance mark 0.3, that's going to give us 10.7 inches for our size 42. So I'm going to just trace out the head first, right? Once I'm done tracing out the head, I'm going to check the width. The width I would prefer for this is 4 inches. Now it's a size 42 for men, but a male size 42 is actually a bit small, so we're going to give it a 4 inch width, right? So you can see I've added my width to it. Then I'm going to take the length from the top. I'm going to mark the 10.7 at the bottom, and then I'm going to just keep using my pattern like a French curve to align the shape that I want, to draft the shape that I actually want, because I really do like this shape, especially for the men. I think it comes out really great. So I'm going to just join the curve now from there, as you can see. And guess what? Voila, we've drawn a size 42 from this. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to dimension it for you guys to see. Our width is 4 inches and our length is what? 10.7 inches. Hi guys, so the next pattern I'm going to be drafting is going to be a size 43. Now the size 43 is roughly about 10.75 inches, right? Size 43. So what I'm going to do is, if I add my 0.3 mark to it, I'm just going to make it 11 inches. So I'm drafting the top first. By the time I'm done drafting the top, I am going to take up my tape and measure the length that I want. So whichever way works for you. If I'm not altering the sides, right, I draft the top first. But if I'm going to have to alter the sides, then I would mark the length, then start drawing, then get the width that I want. But I'm not altering the width, so that's what I'm doing now. I just drew the top part. Now I've marked my 11 inches and I'm just going to connect all my lines together to make sure there is a flow, and then the shape is still very, very nice as well. So this is basically the hack I use to draw all my patterns. If I get somebody, because people's shoe sizes always differ, in the sense that somebody might wear 40 but the dimensions of their leg may just be different, right? Or if somebody is a plus size, their legs may be wider than normal. This is what I use to adjust both the length and the width of the floors for their shoes. So this is a size 43, and I've increased the width. So the width here is about 4.3 inches, right? It's not so wide, but because as is a male shoe, the higher you go, the wider usually the male legs are too as well. So but the max width for a male shoe should be maybe 4.5, and that means the person's leg is really wide. So it's possible for me to even still draft this my size 43 with a 4-inch width. Do you understand? So just make do of what works for you. But I would subscribe 42, 43, leave it at 4 inches. Their legs aren't supposed to be that wide. Then this is a 45 we're drafting now, and you can see I've made it like a 4.32 as well, just to make it a bit wide. Now I'm going to join my pattern that side so that I get that curve. I really like the front of this design, the head. Then I'm going to mark the length for my size 45. The length is going to be about 11.5 or so. 11.5 is what I'm drafting for that. So I'm going to just use my pattern like a French curve, to get everything sorted out. So we've come to the end of this class. If you have any questions, kindly drop them in the comment section. I'd be happy to answer them. And if you did learn a thing or two from this video, then this channel is for you. So like, share, and subscribe. If you would also like to learn more and you'd like to learn faster, we have our beginner-friendly footwear course called Footwear Fusion, where we teach you the rookie mistakes, tips and tricks. We're also going to walk you through the process of making male and female footwears, how to make various designs, as well as social media marketing, how to get your first clients, and how to host your first sales. You don't want to miss this class. I'm going to drop the link in the description box and in the bio. So click the link and sign up for the class. See you soon.